but I'm going to give you a little example. Got a torch, and I always hold them with the point pointing up because heat goes up. So if you're holding them like this, the heat goes back into the handles. So I always hold them, and I heat them for, maybe 35, 40 seconds to get them good and sterilized. You can start to see the metal getting really hot. And if there's any little bits and pieces, it'll turn red and fly off. So, and I'm going to set them right here so I don't melt the table. And then, so all those have been sterilized. So we went over the torch. And then when we have a big plant, sometimes I have to get out the big gun. So we'll maybe use this tonight to cut up this plant. And I don't know, it's a pretty big plant. It's actually bigger than I thought. So I don't know if we're going to get all the way through it and get all the divisions off, but we're going to get some of the divisions off for sure. Okay? So, and I have my trusty bottle of alcohol. And I have my diethane that I'm going to take, and I'm going to mix up a little diethane paste. I think I am anyway. Okay, so take my little Q-tip, stir it around, make the paste to where it's kind of like cake batter, pancake batter, so it stays on the Q-tip pretty nice. And what I'm going to do with this, and since I'm only going to be working on the same plant, I can use these Q-tips over and over like this. And every time I make a cut, I'm going to put this on the wound to stop things from going in the plant, fungus, viruses, that kind of stuff.
Cinnamon?
Pardon?
Do you ever use cinnamon?
Yeah, if I'm making toast or swirls. But it's cinnamon is supposedly known. It's a natural fungicide, according to the old timers. To some studies that have been done, it really has no effect. But there's a lot of old timers, and if you go on some of the orchid websites and some of the fog and some of the other ones, there's always people going at it about cinnamon. So, I used to be on the cinnamon side until I read all about the studies, and they said exactly. Raisin toast is this that goes perfect with that. So, but anyway, a lot of people use it and they say it works, but I don't use it anymore. I use fungicides that are, developed for funguses, fungi, or whatever that is. Okay, so I got my little paste made up. I got my alcohol, got my Sawzall, got my Q-tips, and so we're going to bring this big plant over here. It's not that heavy now because it's pretty dry, but it does stink from the orthine. So this plant is kind of gotten really big. It's really heavy, and it's unruly, and it's starting to get a few little issues. So for those reasons, we have to chop you.
And Maria wasn't able to walk up her stairs
So
because it
yeah,
was just at the top of the stairs. So I bet.
Well, see, if this plant truly belonged to me, there's no way I would cut this plant up. There's just absolutely no way I would cut this plant up.
But Maria wants a piece of it too. And her friend Carol DiBiase wants a piece of this. This is an awarded plant, as I said too. Her awarded plant.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plant and I'm going to look around and find out really where it can be cut up. Now you see this is the first.
You can see the bottom.
This is the first time you see this bottom. How this basket. It's good. This bottom, the basket is kind of starting to come apart and rot. So this plant really is kind of ready the basket's starting to come apart. So this is kind of what I would do first thing is go through and pull the things off. And then you run into like this right here.
Oh, here's the plant.
Perfect perfect. 5, 6 pseudo bulb division, good roots. So this is the perfect one. You clean that up a little bit, and there's the first really nice division. Ooh.
Oh, I know. It
So
smells like
then we
morphine
can
now.
go around and
That on our-
get this basket coming apart. And as you take these baskets out of here, you're going to come across those divisions like that. Like I see right here when I take this one off, and you got to kind of be careful because there's wires sticking out of here and things like that. But once you've done a couple hundred of these, but like I said, I would never, if this was my plant, it wouldn't be getting chopped up.
Jim, why is that?
Pardon?
Why wouldn't you?
Well, it's the more I'm looking at it, it probably needs to come out. And if you really can see it, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this. Anybody hear this? You know what that is?
Solid.
That's a clay pot.
Oh.
So I don't know who's had this plant through the years. I don't know how long Maria's had it, but
Wow. How big was it when you got it first, Maria?
Pot size.
Okay,
In a
so
3-inch pot.
somewhere along the line, it's been put through. It's in a basket, and it was in a pot, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's not in another pot also. Because I know I have Vandas that I have bought when they're in little 2-inch pots, and instead of taking the 2-inch pot out, I set it right in a little 4-inch pot, grows and fills that up, and I set it in a 6-inch wooden basket, grows, fills that up, and I set it in another basket, a bigger basket, grows. So sometimes when you take one out or one dies and you take a look to see why it died, there's like 7 baskets and the plant just huge, but that's the way a lot of people like to do it, including me. So so as you can see, we're taking apart the basket to get to the parts that we're going to cut up, because we don't want to try to cut through these wires, and these wires can kind of, like, here's a wire sticking right here that you can really get poked with. So I always try to cut these off so they don't poke you. Then take these and you're gonna break when you're cutting a plant this big up. You're gonna break some pieces off. You try not to, but it can become a job. Sure, to get some of these bigger plants like. Okay, now here's the next. And these shears are like razors, so they're really sharp. They stay sharp forever, but you got to be really careful. You don't want to be sticking your shears in there and just clipping, not remembering where your fingers are. So it's
Or where the wire is.
Yeah. And remember, when you're repotting a plant, you, Cattleya family especially, you can cut those roots off, within about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch.
okay. So what do you think? See all the new roots?
Yeah.
See all the new growths? So here's another really, really nice division. That might be something Maria might want. But what you do is you just keep working around till you come to these places to where you can get a piece off like that. Like here's another one. Here's another one right here. So I like these snips because it has this little round hook and you can kind of get it in there. See, that's still attached to the, there's another piece. So you just kind of keep working your way around. Here's another nice piece right here.
We're taking bets. How many plants you think you're going to get out of
I
that?
know. He said 14 originally. When he saw the plant, oh, that's a nice piece too.
Okay. See, you're always going to come up with these little pieces, but this type plant, which is an Adosa hybrid, this is, I think Maikai is
Yeah.
Rossivola Nodosa and Cattleya baueringiana. So you got two weeds, which is like that big plant over there and the one over there, and baueringiana, which they're getting ready to bloom here in another couple weeks. So there's another. So you don't get much nicer of a division than that. I mean, you can mount that on a piece of wood like this right here. Now, what I was showing you is you can see this pseudo bulb is cut. So you take the Q-tip and you just paint that pseudo bulb with a nice paste like that, and that's the only place that I cut that. And those other ones we could paint too. So.
Yep, and then that's
It's,
going in there.
So that way you could make sure you don't have anything going on with the divisions.
And since I'm pasting the exact same plant, I'm going to be able to use the same Q-tip. If we move to a different plant, this would go in the trash, and this is still uncompromised. Well, actually, we'd probably, so I'm dipping it
You'd
back
mix
in,
it up,
we'd
mix
mix
the
up
new one.
another one. But if for every small, we were dividing small plants, each time we dipped in here, it would be a brand new Q-tip for that particular plant. And if we were going to use another part of it, again, we wouldn't dip that used Q-tip in here, and that way you can keep your slurry going for, it'll dry up even, and you can add more water and then just continue to use it. This one is a little straggler, so we keep all the stragglers, maybe we'll mount them on a fork and these got what I can see has been cut. Just add that you can see, especially on the pseudobulbs. The roots you can get a little bit, but mainly the actual plant.
Look how clean this 30-year-old pot is on the inside compared to the outside. So, but I found 2 baskets already, so I know it's been in 2 baskets and this clay pot.
Maria, you're like me, or like Jim. Our plants are the same. Put them in a bigger pot and wait for it to take over.
See, and here's part of the problem. When you get into these plants, you see all these dead pseudobulbs, dead roots. I mean, it would have been not long. This would have started spreading through this plant, and it would have had some issues. As beautiful as the plant is.
Mm-hmm. And this particular division, you can see all the dead roots at the bottom. So those I'm going to completely trim off. Again, I've got sterile scissors. I'm just going to trim that down, just like that. And then that would be ready to pot. So again, in the Rossivola, the Cattleya family, you're going to trim off those roots. On something like a Phalaenopsis, you could, you're not going to trim it down quite as much. You can trim off the roots that are soggy or completely gray and non-viable. But the good roots you can pot or mount, and they'll continue to grow. This I'm going to put over. These will be part of the giveaway, so we'll just have that this is wrong.
If I saw you on my lanai with that sign, call the police.
If anybody has a bad knee or needs knee surgery, they can come over to my house Saturday, and we'll be able to see. Now here's a piece of wire sticking out of there that came from another basket. So you got to be careful not to poke yourself. And here's another pot.
I love it, Maria. That's awesome.
Okay,
That's great. Just
okay,
put
we're
it in another
into
cup.
2 baskets and 2 pots. There's the top to another pot. And this piece still has part of the second basket.
It has some wire on it.
Okay. See, here's what happens. It starts to. Once you start getting in there, you start getting these really, really nice
Yeah.
divisions.
Oh, that's a
Ooh,
nice
that's a good one. That's a Maria and Carol. Maybe we'll
Yep.
split that.
Okay.
Just one big one, got a couple that are. But if that one ends up like the picture that she brought, whoever brought it, that's what I want. That's more. Get that. Now there's two.
Mine starts out red.
Either one.
Pretty nice divisions right there. Here's a couple of the small ones, but okay, here's 2 really nice
Okay, cool.
divisions.
Let's keep those for Carol.
Okay.
Oh, I know. Those are
So, Jim, the leaves that are turning yellow on that, do you clip them off or let them go, or do you?
If I was going to repot this division, and this is like, it's got some pseudo bulbs in here that need to come off, and like any dead stuff, you know, some stuff like that. It's like but yeah, like these leaves.
Did you tell people to be quiet?
Yeah,
It-
well,
it-
it's
it's
kind of
just
hard
like-
to hear, so if y'all can keep the other conversation, especially since today we don't have the
So it's
lavalier mic.
I mean, this would make like an unbelievable division and give you, next year, this plant's gonna be, and one thing about these, they grow like weeds, they double in size. So there's lots of,
So you would clip those off?
yeah, I would clip
Yeah,
those,
probably,
I would clip
okay.
those leaves off.
Just visually too,
Okay.
aesthetically.
Alright, yeah.
Now, on some of these too, you can see how well cared for this plant has been given. There's a little bit of old scale damage that you can notice, but again, it's been treated, it's well, you know, I don't see any evidence of any kind of live infestation of anything, which is super nice. Yeah, this is the mic. That's what it's in there. This is going back to our donor, Maria.
That's not right.
Part of the basket, another basket up here, so see what, here's another piece of basket. So what you can do is you can just take these clippers and cut these old roots off, and this is what I'm saying. Be careful, know where your fingers are. So you can just take this old stuff and keep trimming it off.
Hey, Jim, approximately how much root should you keep? 2 inches or?
I would cut everything that's dead, everything you can get to, like cut that off, everything, and then sometimes you're not going to have hardly any roots left. There's another piece of another basket.
And here must be the original tag, a piece of the original tag. BC Maikai. Well worn.
Okay. So this piece can be cut up, and then we're not going to do this tonight. But this piece could be cut up in at least 3 more really nice divisions, really nice divisions. So, and you could, oh, there's another piece of basket.
Yeah, that's a problem because they have the wire, and the wire's rusted, so it's very sharp, and fortunately,
Dangerous.
cover tetanus shots.
Yeah, you can get poked or get you know, when you're making these divisions, cutting these big plants up, and that's another reason that sometimes I don't cut big plants up. Okay, so there you go. Look, you got.
Yeah, it's really nice. Now these will pot up and then
You
grow
got
until our sale.
Two really nice divisions. Okay.
Actually, we'll need one maybe for our refreshments.
We'll put a.
Elaine, when you're gonna pop them in, bark or?
What would you say? Probably a mix, a bark mix,
You just
or
for
anything really.
for these.
Mhm.
There's another tag.
Oh, here's another
Or a
part
piece
of the
of a
tag.
tag.
Yeah.
So for these, the way they grow is you just about can't go wrong with planting these, and they like to be planted. And you could plant these in straight charcoal. You could plant these in aliflor. You could make up a cattleya mix. They grow really well on mounts. I think Eunice,
You
you have a big Maikai, right?
Yeah. Huge.
What do you suggest they get potted in?
I use bark for it.
Yeah, so these could,
Mix.
yeah, you could probably take this and screw it on that wall over there, and it would grow to the wall. I mean, they're rewarding plants, and they're easy to grow.
I'm going to pass this one around. Again, the viability of this huge plant is just amazing. You can see the brand new roots with the green tips, and then a brand new growth coming on this division also. So pass that around. And we put some of these little ones on for the prizes for our next activity. But the ones that are coming apart with no roots and no viability, really, I'm just tossing those away. And then the little ones, as I said, the little tiny ones, we'll maybe mount on something together, make a big display. And then these are the kind we'll put in pots to nurture for our sale in November.
And what makes these a little more difficult is when they have been in, like, there's another
Another piece
piece
of
of
the tag.
tag. When they've been in baskets and they've been in pots too, it's like getting through, you get through a basket and then you hit a pot. And it's like, you think you're almost,
Get out the sawzall again.
think you're almost through, and you don't get you hit another piece of basket. Oh, it is. You don't want to do over a couple of these a day, I can tell you. It's like, especially in the heat that we're getting right now.
There's a nice division. Ooh, lots of basket.
Another basket. Another really great couple of couple of divisions here. But I think everybody can kind of get the idea of you just got to kind of work your way around and pull these nice pieces like this out, and next thing you know, you're going to have all these pieces like this. See, all these are dead roots that are going to start to decay and cause issues for this plant. So it was really time to repot it.
30 years old.
And you can see the baskets have really started to deteriorate also. So there's like powdery mildew on this wood because it's decomposing in the center of that plant. So it's really sad, but the big specimen plants are sometimes the absolute hard. You think the little tiny babies are the hardest, and then on the other extreme, the big daddies are hard because they have all this stuff going on inside. And something can happen, again, to be vigilant in your collection, to look at things, because if this is up against a wall in your area, in your growing area, and it starts to go bad on the backside, it can just spread like wildfire. It can be very destructive. So take a look at the back of your plants, especially when they get to be this specimen size.
Yes, ma'am. Following the booster thing. The booster shot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm real. Always
Yeah, so
cautious,
this-
you know, like you get noisy.
That's some good ones.
So this is kind of what you wind up. Now you can take these. Probably what we'll do is take these, clean them all up, maybe make smaller pieces, like maybe this size out of them. But these things grow like a weed. This piece right here, I would say that would grow. But,
Right, and something like that mounted on cork.
there's
one
the
of big,
perfect-
yeah, there's
perfect
the perfect size right there.
piece for
Again,
that.
if I were doing this, I'd take the side that is in active growth and put that again like we've done before. I drill it all out, put my, drill a hole and put my, my hook in the top of the ladder, and then attach the new growth side to the cork.
When you attach that to the cork, do you put a little bit of moss or anything behind it?
We haven't been using moss at all. Now, something like a phalaenopsis or something that you want to hold with a little more moisture, maybe you'd use a little bit, but you don't use any moss at all, do you?
No, because
And everything just like, takes off. And when we drill the cork, I've done this before here, so I'm not going to do it again, but like I would drill probably in this size at least a dozen or 15, maybe even more holes, and then center the plant. And the roots will just grow right through those holes. And then the advantage of holes at the top, of course, is that I could put another zip tie or green wire around, to hold it upright while it's establishing the roots. But yeah, just bare root on cork just is very successful in Southwest Florida. Yeah, oh, that's a nice one too.
20 or 25 divisions so far,
Ooh, we
right?
got some beauties here.
okay, well at some point it was grown in lava rock, because here's a big giant piece
There you go,
of lava
Maria.
rock.
We've gone through all the mediums here.
So we've got bark, we've got lava rock, baskets, clay pots, and all in all, it's in pretty good shape.
Any gold?
Another tag.
We'll piece this whole tag together by the end of the night. This is a different tag too.
Okay, you see how well, if you don't have a sawzall, it just makes it when you get into all these gnarly roots, it just makes it, and then from here you can take your snippers and cut these pieces off. You just want to look at them and say, okay, I got some front lead, like right, this piece right here, you could separate it right here and make a really nice, division with 7 or 8. You cut that one main pseudo bulb and it'll probably want to come apart. Okay, so you got that, and you probably get another one out of this if you want.
Get about 20 out of there.
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
see, you just
really-
got to go through, and there's another one.
Mhm, and all these,
This
I mean, it's a
one-
perfect size right here.
this
Some of the
one's,
bigger ones, just amazing.
And for some of these, I would cut these down to like
Cut all this big mass right here. There's
Like
nothing
I see some new
viable in there.
roots and I see some dead stuff in here, so like this, I would clean it up a little bit and cut a little more roots and some more of the dead stuff, and perfect candidate right there to put in like a 5-inch pot, boom, like that, and you'd have a really nice plant.
Now, before these get potted, I'm gonna soak them, again, just like we saw for this one, the epicellary. Soak them for 10, 15, 20 minutes in a fungicide solution and let that really penetrate these areas that we've seen. I mean, it smells fresh still. I mean, Maria, you've taken amazing care of this huge plant, and it's in really, really good condition. Thank you. But again, just to avert, especially in the wet weather, to avert any kind of problems, trim it all down, get all these big, dead clumps off, and then give it a really good soak. Maybe even, won't worth either. But honestly, I don't see any sign of bugs or anything like that. It's never been outside. Okay. Right. Okay, good. It's gorgeous. This is really, really neat. And Maria, you may want to take a look. Maybe you want to pick another division for yourself or for Carol.
Okay, there's the perfect, lots of new roots, a couple little old dead ones, but perfect little division to go in. I might cut this little back piece off here. Like I said, I got one more opening for some knee surgery Saturday, so. And I got 2 pairs of these I didn't use yet, so you're being good shape. So there's another nice division. I don't know how many we got, but I bet we're gonna have. I bet we're gonna have
This one
20,
I'm going to put for the refreshment.
20 divisions or so out of that plant.
Jim, if you put that in a wood basket, would you put it in a 4-inch or to start, or maybe?
I would put these in like a 6-inch basket, because they're not as temperamental as some of the plants are. So I would put it in a 6-inch basket. That way it can stay in there for 30 years. She did say it was in there for 30 years, right? Okay, now, so like this piece, when you're cutting these up and you're like looking at, once you learn to see these pieces, like there's a piece right there. So I mean, cutting that up,
Separated there.
all good roots on both sides. New growth. So that's the really size you want to try to pot up right there. Like 7 or 8. The plant's not gonna sulk and stagger because it doesn't know what happened to it. It thinks it's dying. It's gonna say, "Woo, I got a haircut. I'm ready to go." So it's so these are two really nice divisions, and this is what you wind up with this is what you wind up with when you do one of these big plants. And actually, I think we did pretty good
We
by
did
not
pretty
having
good.
more damage than we did. So
Yeah,
we might
and every
have
time
a dozen or so
Yeah.
leaves. But back in the days when I first, I've been growing orchids for 35 years or so. So I was 15 when I started. So nobody caught that. Huh? So anyway, back in the day when I first started, and I would go to these orchid nurseries, and they'd be cutting up these big plants, and there'd be pieces like this on the floor, and it'd be like, hey, what are you gonna do with those? Throw them in the garbage. Mind if I take them? I'd take them home and try to baby them and grow them back to health, and occasionally you'd get one that would grow, but most of the time, it's not worth. It's better to get a decent sized division. It's going to grow for you. It's not going to take up space, not going to take your time, and it takes just as much time to grow a dead plant as it does a live one. So you might as well get good plants, get good divisions, and go from there. So I don't know how many we
Yeah,
got,
we got a bunch.
but there's still more to cut up, some of those bigger pieces. But we're going to have at least 20, 25
probably
25 plants. So these plants will be available at our plant sale that's going to be coming up